Hello and welcome. So this is your final. This is your final for Photoshop, the final story. The story is going to be there is a little old lady that lives in a shoe. Some of you might be familiar with it. It's a childhood limerick. So most of you should be familiar. The story is on the site, so please double check and read it over so that you can really create this narrative visual of the story. So let's go over some of the asks. This is all on the site. Number one, that this is a showcase of all your skills that you've learned in Photoshop. So what were some of the editing things I showed you at the beginning when we worked on self-portraits? What was some of the lighting and shading and transparency effects that we learned in your landscape? What are the brush tools that you used when doing painting? What are some of the effects you've learned about when doing the hand? And how do you put this all together when you started to work on your cityscape, breaking them down and collaging and bringing layers to work? So this one, I want to make it as realistic as you possibly can. I have 2 videos that will provide you with some insight of how I built this one. What I'm asking you to do for all these videos is just patiently take notes and listen. It is not a step-by-step. I will not provide any of these imagery for you to use. You will have to use different imagery that I have provided over here. I do provide imagery, but not what the video has. Other thing I want you to know is that there is a task that is also involved in this, that I want you to shoot your own photos. I will dock your grades if you take photos from online. I want you to take a picture of your friends. I want you to take a picture of your grandmother, your mother, whoever you can think that could fit into the narrative, and use scaling and positioning to tell your story. Art direct your friends, family members for at least 5 photos to be placed in here. Then mask them, scale them, and put them throughout your image. No images from the web for the people or kids. I provide the door. You can definitely go look for more doors. You can definitely look for more landscapes or shoes, but I've already provided you some high-res images to work with. This is your creative task, so whatever you feel that'll help you get this narrative, to visualize your narrative, to communicate this story, I'm excited to see. Remember that you're still thinking about composition, rhythms, image, scale, and color, and that the size and proportions should be 11 by 17. Again, this stuff is on the site, so if you forget, you can always go to the site. The story is also provided on the site. Images are provided, and the 2 other videos that you've probably seen that will go through the step-by-steps of how to set up, but also how I achieved this. One of the biggest things I've noticed when students are working on this project is scale. Even I think the scale could be a little bit better. I mean, these are children. Are most children as tall as the doorknob? Are they a little shorter? I mean, they could be different ages, so I guess that's fine. Is this shoe really big enough to have all these people living in it? So really think about scale. The other problem I've noticed when people are doing this project is they squish the images. So I'm going to show you quickly how to check that you don't distort, squish, manipulate the image to stretch it. You can tell immediately when an image has been distorted, and not in a good way. You want these images to look as true as you possibly can. So I'm going to grab one of these images here. I'm going to grab a shoe. And if I wanted to scale this, I can do it. I'm not hitting anything. I'm no shift, no commands. I'm just pulling and dragging. In Photoshop only, do you do it without the shift? If you use shift in scaling, you will get it squished. See how it's squished? It's like skinnier than it was before. And you can see, always check your images and make sure that you haven't done that. And you can see up here where it says W and H, that they're not the same. This is 44 and this is 88. So you need to get them at the same scale. They both should be 44. And you can do that by hitting this link that links it back to the proper size. See how they're both now 44? And without holding shift, by just drag, it will stay the same size. So please make sure that is one of the easiest way of getting a bad grade, is having images that are distorted. So hitting shift and dragging and pulling will distort your image. No shift won't. And again, always double check that your image didn't get distorted. Alright, I think you guys are going to be in good hands with the other videos. Have fun. Photoshop is just the best way to conquer learning new software, is just to experiment and have time to do it. Alright, have a great break, and I hope you get a chance to listen to all these before you get back next week. Thanks for listening in.